IG Live, Clubhouse, and of course our webinar. All the trainings are available, like I said, on Spotify Entrepreneur. Just download the playbook, like it, share it. If you miss it, no big deal. But we are going to be taking Q&A. So hold your questions. I'm going to go through. Today's training is on mommy issues, daddy and mommy issues, really. Next week's training is on networking on all social platforms, especially Clubhouse, if you're not on there. You can always reach out for the exercises, guides. My books are free. All you need to do, I'll sign it, send it to you, ship it, pay for shipping. David@dmeltzer.com. Get the exercise guides, books, training, all there, David@dmeltzer.com. And I do have a text community, 949-298-2905. Let's get started about one of my biggest nemesises, one of my biggest interferences in my life. I am a mama's boy, and I got mama's issues. I'm sure I got some daddy issues too. As far as all of you may know, these issues are a result of the relationship that we have with our mother and our father. And when we're growing up mainly, and maybe even how our relationship remains today. Mommy issues originally is a term, it's a psychoanalytical term, which was originated with an Oedipal complex coined by Sigmund Freud. And Carl Jung followed up with the Electra complex, which was modernly spoken as daddy issues. So you got the Oedipal complex, the Electra complex, mommy and daddy issues. But these terms were developed and understood through the psychoanalytic lens. That means we want to see what psychological, conscious, subconscious, or unconscious effect that it has in creating these void shortages and obstacles where it was believed, for example, young boys thought they were in competition with their dads, young girls thought they were in competition with their moms. However, today we know it's much more than just this. Basically, mommy and daddy issues, which, by the way, are the terms that are thrown around way too loosely, including myself, are the psychological effects lasting into adulthood. I'm 53 years old and I still have mommy issues and I'm still a mommy boy. And those are caused by these relationships, mainly that I had as a child with my parents and had continued on. Now, some possible causes to have mommy or daddy issues, and I can tell by the size of the audience, it seems to be a very frequent or common issue. One, if you've had a parent who left the family or was mostly absent. So my father left when I was 5 years old, and I'm sure this created all types of issues, abandonment issues, responsibility issues, different energies that I had to go through. Two, a parent who was emotionally or physically abusive, which unfortunately occurs far too often. If you've had a parent who wasn't loving or nurturing, so I had both extremes, one that was extremely loving and extremely nurturing, and the other absent, non-loving, non-nurturing, never even told me how proud he was of me. A parent who is extremely overbearing can have a detrimental effect on our adulthood, and also a parent who treated the other parent badly. I think it's an issue that I'm very aware of, that I want to make sure that the way that I treat my wife is an example of how to be kind to my future self and to help my children being kind to their future selves. If you're not going to treat those people closest to you with the utmost respect, loving kindness, then what are we going to treat other people as well? The way that mommy and daddy issues usually manifest themselves is through transference. And transference is we're going to transfer on a legacy, a quantum memory, and way that we are treated, the way that we witness people being treated, we transfer that into the way we treat others. As much as we hate it, for me, I always thought my dad was a liar, a cheater, manipulator, overseller, back-end seller. To find out I didn't hate my father at all. I hated myself. And I was the liar, the cheater, the manipulator, the overseller, the back-end seller. And all the things that I hated about everyone else were things I hated about myself. And so when we're dealing with these issues, a man who seems to be seeking to substitute their mom as opposed to an equal partner. Behaving in a reaction or an unresolved issues with your mother or partner can manifest itself in all types of different difficulties. This leads to relationships having unequal power, right? There is no give and take. There's an unequal balance of power in a couple, and both men and women go through these extremes of being very controlling or other directions of becoming very submissive. What we want to have is effective communication. We want to give our lives away, especially to the people most relative to us. We want our lives to come through us in an abundant manner without the resistance, voids, and shortages that we create by having some sort of need to be inferior, or a need to be superior, or a need to be separate. All of these are a matter of transference from the way that we grew up and what we witnessed and experienced as children. Mommy issues and daddy issues can also cause different expectations, which then creates another layer of difficulty in having that relationship benefit both parties. And so if our expectations aren't managed because we had an over, caring or over nurturing helicopter parent or abusive parent, these things can transfer as well. Daddy issues and mommy issues also revolve around trust issues, fear of abandonment. All of these different issues can really stagnate our progress and our growth when we're afraid of what's going on. We create our own illusions in every relationships, and the relationships seem to be doomed at the very start, and the expectation of that damnation because of our past experience, because we were left, we continue to evolve in that quantum circle to reinvent the exact same thing that occurred to us that we didn't want. And alternatively, the lofty expectations or needs that we have can also happen if you've felt unloved, rejected by a parent, unrealistic, expectations from your parent, all types of different things that make it difficult for your partner to fulfill. These are all the things that we have to deal with from what we have in the most relative relationships. We're transferring over all of these void, shortages, and obstacles. We are transferring over our own self-worth by the way that we have been treated either too well or not well enough. All that being said, everybody's different. So, remember that these are just examples that are indicative of different people in different situations with different childhood, different parents, different parent-child relationships, and they all can result in different outcomes. And conversely, someone who has a rough childhood won't always have the same mommy or daddy issues, or those who have certain things happen to them. It is not a descriptive dependent variable. As previously mentioned, the terms are used too loosely a lot of times and casually overused, and often without clear understanding of the root cause of what the problem you're having is, or where the interference, voids, or shortages are occurring from. And it's too easy and too often blamed on our parents, right? So one of the things that I teach is accountability. And when we institute accountability, we ask ourselves, what did I do to attract this to my life? And what am I supposed to learn from it? So a lot of these issues that are thrown around or loosely used are also in what I call the libel state of blame, shame, and justification. These are issues that we can learn through, find light in, and progress and accelerate and expand from. The effect of mommy and daddy issues on our relationships are really what we want to look at, right? We want to attach our emotions and our learning and our lessons and our light to the effect, not the cause, because it's indiscriminate what the cause is. It's indeterminable what the cause is. I am sure that there is a variance of degree of everyone's childhood that has transformed or transferred over into what? The effect of what is happening in our lives. And so accountability to me allows us to focus in on the only thing that we can resolve. We can't change the past, but we can learn the lessons and the light and the love from the past in order to change the effect that that cause would have. And so, with these issues, they most manifest themselves in the intimate relationships, because the most intimate relationship we have for, on average 18 years is with our parents. And so that transference is logical. And so the effect that it has on us can be substantial. And we can use this not just as a disadvantage, but raising our awareness to the effect can be a huge advantage to process, learn, grow, find the light, the love, and the lessons in what we do, changing the effects of our causation, of our vision, understanding where illusions, where misinterpretations and misvalues are aligned. When we are not clear about why we feel a certain way, we react in a certain way without clarity. Let me repeat that. When we aren't clear about why we feel a certain way, we react without clarity. This leads to misunderstanding, miscommunication, hurt feelings, void, shortages, and obstacles in what we do. And so, what we want to do is try to get clear, balanced, and focused so that we can communicate in the same vibration or frequency. It's not what we say, it's what they hear. And if we're not clear about what we feel, they're going to hear something different than what we say. How many times does someone tell us something, and because of the energy or the attitude that we feel, we misinterpret it and we're offended or we're resentful or we're angry or we're worried? What do you mean by that? What? How many times, if I had $1 for every argument I've gotten in from my wife, will repeat something that I said that was completely inaccurate, and worse, not the intention that I have. So some of these effects that we have, we want to look at and deal with because we can help heal those. Number one, trust issues. Trust issues is one of the most common things that creates interference, void, shortages, worthiness issues, separation, all of the different interference that we cause from the ego-based consciousness. Now, I have a rule to help you get over trust issues. And it's a process that I've learned in business because I had no problem in relationships with the trust, where I had it in a personal, intimate relationships. But moreover, I had my issues in business until I started to institute trust and vet like a mofo. That's right. The Dave Meltzer, trust everyone, but vet like a mofo. That creates and helps the effect of your trust issues. When you start taking accountability, more interested than interesting, asking the hard questions, not only of others, but of yourself, of why doesn't this make sense? I should ask more questions. I should learn more. I should follow up, ask for references, check on this, ask for examples, ask for samples, ask for guarantees. Trust and vet like a mofo, Dave Meltzer styles, and you will diminish the effects of trust issues that may have deemed from these mommy and daddy issues that you started. Another one that I see manifesting in my life as an effect is, do you have a need for constant reassurance and validation? This is the pleaser's prospect. Do you need people to tell you that it's okay? Do you want them all to like you? I learned a valuable lesson. I'd rather people hate me for who I am than love me for who I'm not. Don't be a camouflage. Know your color, know your frequency, especially today with the availability and accessibility to such a large audience, where you can find your community that vibrates at the same frequency, that can tune in to who you really are, your overused, authentic, organic self. Know that. But you need to understand nobody's reassurance. They'll all laugh at you. They'll make fun of you. They will scoff at you, then they will applaud you. So ask yourself the effect of the need for constant reassurance, validation, if you're a pleaser, and let's start working on that effect by learning to love you and finding your own frequency. Another one that manifests itself is jealousy. And it's not just in relationships, but in business as well. Are you jealous all the time? Is there a need for comparison? I will tell you, comparison will steal your joy. Comparison will steal your joy. You need to compete and enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your own potential, work within your own expansion, acceleration, and growth. You cannot let joy be stolen from you by being jealous of others. Do not be a why me person, be a try me person. Use and feel and congratulate others as if it was yourself. That's the fastest way to make yourself equal and appreciate the difference. One of the other issues or effects is the fear of abandonment. Um, so many of us did not get the attention that we wanted for a variety of reasons. People get divorced, they pass away. There's a bunch of issues why we might fear abandonment. I have stuck in businesses because I feared the abandonment of that as a rejection, that I'm staying in this business because I don't want others to have to leave, or some other illogical understanding of what's going on. Don't do that. Understand that there's enough of everything for everyone, and that you, like a trolley, people will get on and get off. They'll get on and get off. And as long as you continue to be kind to your future self, doing good deeds and your best, you won't worry about other people coming on and off your trolley of life, your trolley of experience. One we discussed before, an effect of these issues could be an unequal balance of power. Um, Relationships are collaborative. The word command actually means work with. Demand is the problem. And if one party in your relationship is demanding of the other, if one party seems to have leverage or some sort of unequal power, then we need to change that effect. And you need to identify that effect and work towards appreciating each other and sticking up and communicating for the value that you have to balance the power. And most of the time in a close relationship, it's just a matter of being able to teach people to find the superpowers. I always tell people, look, if you think that your wife is a blank, she's going to be a blank, a queen or a bee. That's what you're going to get. And I started to seek the superpowers in my closest relationship, especially for my wife. And it was amazing how my relationship transformed and how it elevated not only my wife, but myself, by looking and recognizing and recollecting the superpowers, the reasons, impacts, and capabilities of why I'm in love and adore her. Poor communication is another effect. People close down. They feel stifled by the feelings that they have, and they don't communicate them effectively. The idea of communicating effectively is not to talk to people, not to talk for people, but to talk through. My own children are not for me or to me, they're through me. And that elevates and enlightens the relationship that I'm here to empower them with health, happiness, appreciation, and love. One other one is negative self esteem getting in the way of your relationship. You cannot love somebody else unless you love yourself. You cannot find outside of yourself what you can't find inside yourself. And if our closest relationships from growing up have diminished the way we feel about ourselves, we need to heal that first before we can establish a relationship and expect others to feel the same way about us that we feel about us. Um, Another issue, not so relevant in the general sense, but a lot of the times, if you do have mommy or daddy issues, you are attracted or dating somebody much older than you. That just seems to be quantitatively a statistic that's out there. So look and see the trust issues, the constant need for reassurance, jealousy, fear of abandonment, unequal power balances, poor communication, negative self-esteem, and an age differential to see what effects your childhood has had, regardless of whether the cause was your mommy or daddy or something else that had happened. These certain effects are applicable and ubiquitous to everyone. And the more that we can heal those feelings, those 7 feelings there, the more we can clear the connection to the greatest source of power, light, and love that exists for all of us. Now, what are the steps of healing? I love people who tell you what the cause is, they'll tell you what the effect is, but they forget to tell you what to do. That's not me. So let me get to the step-by-step way in which we heal those wounds. One, You need to learn to identify and express the pain, knowing that pain is not a stop sign, right? It's not the end all, that everybody has pain. Pain is not a stop sign. It's an indicator. It's a turn signal telling you you have a lesson to learn. And if you learn the lesson, you'll be in a better place, a better position, a better situation, or make your situation better. So the first step is letting yourself actually say, ouch, and more than that if you need to. Illuminating the pain, illuminating and processing and identifying that effect is the first step in order to heal. And so many people deny that. So many people will go to blame, shame, justification. They'll never address the cause or the effect. You need to identify it, process it, and admit it, illuminate it, and say, ouch, I'm hurt. Ouch, I'm hurt. Tell somebody what happened. Tell someone you know, don't know, a professional, but you need to express your ouch. The second one we talked about, which is you need to learn to love you. This concept of self was built through the way our parents interacted with us, not to or for us. We need to love ourselves. And in order to do so, it ties right into identifying the things that we don't love about ourselves and progress in our potential to heal them consistently and persistently with changing our habits, our disciplines, our friends, our ideas, surrounding ourselves by what we want, by the people we want. Remember, the easiest way to get to where you want to be is to find somebody that's already there and ask them for directions. Find people who love themselves. Let them guide you. Let you feel comfortable with people, to surround yourself with those that love themselves. And we know people who love themselves because they allow their lives to be given away. You can't give away your life unless you love yourself. And when I say give away your life, I mean shift the paradigm of giving. Don't try to please everyone. Don't go through these 7 different difficulties and think that there's some sort of give or take or trade or negotiation. Simply have confidence that you don't live in the 2 and 4, you live in the through. So you live in an abundant environment where everything comes through you and you're giving it all away. And you can't give what you don't have, especially your love, your forgiveness, your accountability, and your effective communication. You can't give away what you don't have. So work on having more, work on receiving so that you can allow it to come through you for others. In order to do so, you need a third step to healing, and that's this self-awareness. Self-awareness is stemmed from, what I call knowing your what, finding your who can help you get it, knowing your how by paying attention and giving attention to what you want, those coincidences, being present, doing things now, but in particular, of course, being a ferocious Buddha and practicing ending fear. Develop self-awareness to what it is that is creating these void, shortages, and obstacles in your relationships, this interference between you and what already exists, you and the most powerful source of light, love, and lessons. Self-awareness, practice self-awareness. Practice not only looking at the causes, not only looking at the effects, but let's go the next step and allow the solutions, the healing to come through us for others, not for or to ourselves or for or to them. In other words, I always say parent yourself. If you're sitting there blaming your parents for the shoulda, couldas, wouldas, or don'ts, parent yourself. If you want to improve upon the way you were raised, then raise yourself from today on to be who you want to be. And by being and taking control of this mindset, of taking control of this heart set, of taking control of your own conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, and being your own parent within the context of that voice within, there is no doubt you will heal in a relatively faster manner than any other way. And the last, of course, is how we are living in peace and certainty, forgiveness. Learn to forgive. My ultimate quest of certainty would be the capability of forgiving the unforgivable. I forgive as much as I can. I live in the truth as much as I can. And when I'm in the ego-based consciousness, whether the cause is my parents or some other thing that has happened to me in this life or past lives, and I see the effect through self-awareness and enlightenment, the biggest healing factor I have is forgiveness. And there's usually only one person, if not always only one person, to forgive: yourself. You need to forgive yourself through gratitude and accountability and empathy, forgiving ourselves for not knowing what we don't know, with the realization that there's a billion different variables of cause and effect out there, and it'd be impossible to know them all or remember any of them. And therefore, we will just keep on keeping a positive attitude, enjoying the consistent, persistent pursuit of our potential, expanding, growing, accelerating, using the luxury of compound interest to increase the speed in which we grow, helping other people, giving our lives away, allowing things to come through us by expressing the pain and saying ouch, loving ourselves, developing self-awareness, parenting ourselves through our own inner voices of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious thought, and of course, forgiveness. If you want to follow these steps, you can break the chain. You can break the chain and build an emotionally safe environment for your family, your friends, your associates. Learn to listen. There's three types of listeners. There's the interrupter, the person that doesn't give a darn what you're saying, just interrupts you immediately. Even worse than the interrupter is what I call the waiter. And what they're doing is not listening to you and just waiting to tell you what they think. Worse, I think, than the interrupter. And then you have the true processing listener, the more interested than interesting. And all too often, as parents, we're interrupters and waiters. We need to listen and to be processing, learning, interested listeners, especially with our family, friends, and associates. Avoid squashing other people's emotions or discounting them. Ask people how they feel. Ask what they like about it, what they don't like about it. See how you could be of service or value to help them accelerate growth. See who you know who can help them accelerate and grow. And then also ask for their help. Don't put judgments and conditions on the cause and effect. Learn to listen, learn the emotional alignment, and then see how you could be of service or value. Be productive, accessible, and gracious in these by not being judgmental or putting conditions. You don't know what you don't know. Let's be honest. And then finally, we all need to learn to illuminate, to express our own emotions. Learn to talk about how you feel, how you felt, and how you will feel. Learn to express your emotion. Put your energy in motion. Too many people hold it in and wonder why there's so many void shortages and obstacles, why they can't find a peace, a center, a neutrality in which to harness that power of light, love, and lessons to allow them to give it away. Please, everyone, utilize the cause, understand the effect, and empower yourself with the actualization of these solutions to allow us all to expand and grow. Don't blame your past. Don't live in the why me world. Live in the try me world of more than enough of everything for everyone. That's the mommy issue training for the very first time. If you missed it, missed parts of it, the replays will be on Spotify, Entrepreneur, every platform. Download the playbook and like it, share it. Next week's training is going to be networking on social platforms, especially Clubhouse. You can get the books, guides, exercises from this training and others. Just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. David@dmeltzer.com. Get the exercises, guides. I'll sign my book, ship it to you, pay for shipping. All right. First person up. Oh, my friend Shosh Shetty. Got a question for me, Shosh. Let me see here. Go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, just grateful for everything you're putting out. I had a question around, which I thought was really fascinating because nobody talks about what you're really talking about in such an insightful way with the steps. And one of the things I wanted to pick up on was the aspect of when you talk about quantum memory, like the cellular and DNA memory, to just go a little bit further in terms of how, when feeling stuck and how can we shift that quantum memory to move us towards where we want to get to.
Perfect. So there's three memories that we have. Number one is our conscious memory. That's the weakest memory of all. It's about a day long. Our conscious memory is based off of our cellular memory, and it has about 10,000 new data inputs a day, 10,000 new thoughts a day. And the way we receive those memories are through a faulty system called our senses, the way we see things, hear them, smell them, taste them, and touch them. And we all smell, hear, touch, and taste different ways because we're projecting our thoughts about what we smell, taste, touch, and that's how we come up with meaning. And so, number one, coming to the understanding that our weakest memory, our shortest term memory, is the 10,000 thoughts that we have every day. That's why people will go through this training, they'll go to the clubhouse thing that we do, and there's nugget after nugget, from all the greatest minds in the world in there. And then if you ask them 5 minutes after this training or a clubhouse or whatever, what was your number one takeaway? You can see the blank look on their face. That's because they're relying on the short-term weak memory of their senses. The second memory is the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind stores the most pertinent and prevalent and repetitive thoughts, 40,000 of them that you have. So the more you do things consistently and persistently, the more they're going to harbor into habits, disciplines that are set in your subconscious mind that create actually the neural pathways in your mind that create the efficiencies, effectiveness, and statistical success of the lessons learned or the memories that you're trying to access. The problem that most people have is they'll talk about you need 21 days to build a habit. You need 21 days to change a habit. That's the minimum. Because determinative upon your third memory, it may be multiple lifetimes before you can break the great chain of addiction, compulsion, personality trait, or characteristic that have been dropped down from 4 generations to you or have been dropped down by 4 lifetimes to you. And that's why people in varying degrees have difficult times with addictions, with overcoming certain personality traits. We have to really be conscious of the inputs that we have in the conscious, how we're storing them in the subconscious, because they're all activated, deactivated, reinforced, enforced by the unconscious competency, our personality traits, characteristics, obsessions, and addictions that sit in a quantum memory, which is called our DNA, which has an epigenetic layer to it that allows to communicate with the subconscious to activate and deactivate, enforce and deregulate what exists in the pattern or the programming that we have been handed down. Scientifically, they know it's 4 generations. I have a very positive, optimistic view that it's for many more lifetimes than just that, which is positive, but also difficult in the sense of memory to understand why certain people can do things easier than other people, why certain people have greater skill sets and superpowers in different areas than other people. And that's why my perspective is where it's at. It's why I seek the superpowers in everyone, is because I know everyone has them quantum in their memory, the hard drive that actually makes us up, not the conscious memory, which is weak and short term, not the intermediate memory of the subconscious, which not only is input and storing what we have from the conscious mind, but is also communicating the more we access those 40,000 thoughts to determine ourselves, our quantum being, something that we'll hand down to the next generations. Our legacy is determinative upon those 3 conscious, subconscious, and unconscious memories and the superpowers and powers that exist and weaknesses that exist within the context of each one of those. Did that help you out, Josh?
That's amazing. I really appreciate it, David, and thanks for hosting, Jake.
Perfect. I'm going to bring up another guest, Joseph Storzinger from Harlem Standard. That's one of those terrific companies that Damon John's involved with. Let me read off a question while he comes up here. My parents and I have different expectations for my life. How do I deal with this? Well, number one, understand their expectations, and then pray for their happiness and explain to them why they want what they want for you. I will tell you, in the end, when you try to not change your parents' mind, but understand where they're coming from and thank them for their expectation of you, and then ask them why and what they want for you, they're going to come up with, they want you to be healthy, happy, love them, and appreciate them, regardless of whether or not you do what's expected from them or anyone else. In the end, to be happy, you need to vote for what you want. You can't vote for what you don't want, what's missing, or what other people want, including your parents. That doesn't mean you don't listen and learn and to determine what you want, other people's opinions. But in the end, after gathering with an open mind what your parents want for you and the expectations they have and why they have them, then make your own decision, but always appreciate and understand their opinion and expectations and effectively communicate that to them so that you don't create resistance, voids, and shortages, and you gain their support and momentum by utilizing understanding, by utilizing the higher sense of learning that you have to appreciate, love, and effectively communicate with those other people, different people that have expectations. All right. Joseph, you up here, buddy? You got a question for me?
I'm here, my brother. Thank you, David. Thank you, Jake. I really appreciate you reaching out. Happy to be here. Yeah, this is just such a wonderful topic. And Dave, you've definitely guided me over the past number of years. Definitely haven't had mommy issues. My mother, just a wonderful, blessed person. Couldn't ask for a better mother, but never really felt the real connection that I truly felt could be there. And I think, you've touched on it a lot about the habitual importance of consistency and building those habits. And really, my question is going around all forms of communications and really knowing the different vibrations when we access, contacting our parents or customers or friends or family, all different via forms, what it does to the brain and to allow you to build this into your day where it's not just a phone call, maybe it's a video, maybe it's sound as we are here today. So if you can maybe speak a little bit more towards using all these forms of communication as opposed to just maybe one medium.
Yeah, I think the idea in person, on the phone, via email, and all forms of media, traditional and new forms of media, are excellent ways of communicating. I think more importantly than the mediums that we use or the methodologies that we use to communicate are the four things that need to be communicated. And I mentioned them very quickly before, but I'm going to go over them because they healed my relationship with my mom. And that was that every day I became committed in the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious continuum to communicate to my mom four things. One, that I'm happy. Two, that I'm healthy. Three, that I love her. Four, that I appreciate her, meaning that she provides value in my life. Her purpose is fulfilled because she is of value to me. And whether you use the videos or the clubhouse or Snapchat or whatever it is that you use, and I would suggest you use the medium that they most feel comfortable with, you will heal the relationship. Because let's be honest, most relationships, people are trying to prove something or an act of testing, especially our parents, and especially as we get older. So my own mother would ask me to drive down an hour away to fix a screen door and then get upset with me when I would pay someone just to go fix it. What she wanted me to do was prove to her that I loved her and cared about her and appreciated her. And once she became secure in the fact that I'm healthy and happy, love and appreciate her, a lot of the testing, a lot of those types of situations diminish themselves to where now we have that healing involved. So doesn't matter what medium, it's the matter of the consistency. I give a minimum of 1 minute a day to my mom. My dad has passed. I wish I would have come up with some of these techniques before he passed. Luckily, I healed some of my relationship with him, but not as much as with my mom, with this simple idea of a minute a day. Thanks so much, Joseph. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Thank you, Dave.
You're awesome. All right. Next question. I'm going to bring up Chris Arnaldo while I ask another question. This is a good one for those who know me. Do you still have the jacket that your father gave you? I do, and it still sits in my closet, and I should do some content around it. A jacket my dad gave me when I was 30 years old, which I was so upset about because he tore out the pockets and told me that I was just like him, a liar. I mean, that I was just like him, that money was my God, and that I only cared about money, and money bought happiness and love. And I was just like him. And I needed to hang this jacket because I was going to give my life away and not be the richest man in the cemetery. I still look at that jacket almost every day, have that jacket, and probably the best gift that I didn't appreciate at the time that my father has ever given me. And I hope to be buried in that jacket and not be the richest man in the cemetery, and know that I went from nowhere to now here to give my life away to end up nowhere with a jacket with no pockets. All right, Chris, you're up, my friend.
David, thanks so much. Jake, thanks for bringing me up on stage. David, what's the biggest lesson you have learned from your mom, and vice versa? What's the biggest lesson that your mom learned from you?
Yeah. So first for me, learning from my mom is unconditional love. Uh, I tell the story about how I lost everything, and not everybody knows the most difficult thing about losing everything over $100 million was I forgot to take my mom's house out of my name. So the only reason I wanted to be rich from the time I was 5 was to buy my mom a house and a car. And here I was, mid 30s, lost everything, including my mom's house. And I thought when I had to go tell my mom that she had to move, that it was going to crush her. And my mom had told me throughout all the successes that I had that, she was proud of me, she loved me, but she was worried about me because I didn't get it. And in my mind, my money definition mind of, equating my success to my bank account, I would laugh at her and say, I'm lost. I make more from stepping on a stage than you make an entire year teaching a second grade class. I'm lost. But when I told her, went to her house, and let her know that not only was I bankrupt, but I had lost everything, including her house, and she would have to move. Without blinking, my mom told me that she loved me. She told me and asked me if I was okay. She asked me if I needed any money. She had shown me in the hardest time of my life what unconditional love was. Not one thought, not one inch of what about me, why me, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this, no blame, shame, justification, just complete unconditional love. And that still today is the greatest gift my mom's given me. uh, and for me, the other side, the greatest gift I've given my mom, because we have very similar personalities, she's a pleaser, I learned to love myself. I learned to receive. And I was always a giver and ended up in situations always, with resentment and offense and a need to be inferior or superior, with all types of conditions and judgments and negotiation. And I've taught my mom to receive. I taught my mom to learn to love herself and that she's worthy of everything that she has, the same way that I've learned it. And instead of enabling my mother, I've empowered her to take respect and acknowledgement of the millions of lives that she's impacted, and especially the siblings that I have impacted other people as well. So the original empowering over 1 billion people started with my mom, and I was one of her first 1,000. Gave me the idea of 1,000 to empower 1,000 to empower 1,000. Thank you so much, Chris. I hope this answered your question.
Super powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Um, Perfect. These questions. I'm going to bring up Joey Yangley, and Joey, come on up. I'm going to read off a question uh, that's here. One says, just real simply, I'm 18 years old. Do you have any advice for me? I'm going to give you the advice that I'd give myself at 18, 28, 38, 48. I'll probably still give it when I'm 50. I just turned 53. So even 5 years from now, I think I'm going to have the same advice. And that's be radically humble. Ask for help. Gosh, more people want to help people when they're younger than ever, but more people want to help than don't want to help. And when you start looking upon everyone as a sponsor and power sponsor in your life, not as a gatekeeper, you don't need to oversell them, back end sell them, lie, manipulate, or cheat, or go over them, under them, or through them. Just simply ask for help. And the way that you ask for help, by the way, is simply, do you know anyone that can help me? If you do that, on average, everyone knows about 1,000 people. So if I was 18 right now, I would be asking all the people that sit in a situation that I want to be in for help. Or do you know anyone that can help me? That's the best advice I can give myself and to you at 18. All right. We have my friend Joey. Come on up, Joey, here on Clubhouse. What's going on?
Hi, good afternoon, Dave, and thank you, Jake, for the opportunity. My question is, how do you begin to trust again if you've been burned and thrown under the bus by a few bad experiences?
So, first of all, welcome to the majority or the complete totality of life. We all have had those experiences. And there's a saying that I love: you cannot stumble over the roadblocks or speed bumps behind us. You know, if you look back at these difficult situations, challenges, especially with relationships, and you think about the lessons that you've learned, if you seek the light and the love in those lessons and realize how much better off you are when you realize, I am so glad that I'm where I'm at right now. I have everything that I need. And because of these lessons, I'm more capable of angling towards what I want. But what I don't want you to do is to ruin the faith that something better is coming because something difficult has occurred. What happens when something difficult occurs is there's a greater surge on the other side of favor. And, there is an equilibrium in the universe when things happen. The greater the lesson, the greater the gift. And the greater the pain, the greater the lesson, the greater the gift. And so if you've experienced that pain and made it through that pain and can find the light, the love, and the lessons in that pain, utilizing it as a turn signal, allowing yourself to see and move in a better place, a better position, a better situation, or make your situation better, that will only occur through one thing: a faith that you will be somewhere better. And that faith will carry you into a reality. I promise you that the possibilities will become probabilities. And through effective learning, those probabilities will become your new perspective. But it won't happen if you start focusing in on what's missing in your life, what's happened bad in your life, what you don't want in your life. You're going to regret it because you're going to keep on manifesting what you don't want, what's missing, and what bad had happened again. Even though you think, say, and do all the right things, the same stuff are going to continually happen. And you're going to wonder why you're in this terrible circle. Stop literally tripping over the bumps behind you. Let's find the light, the love, and the lessons. Let's heal and learn and be grateful for those experiences. If you're here, you're fine. You're at the right place at the perfect time. And Joey, I know you have great things in front of you and a huge, huge pool of favor waiting for you to go swimming in.
Thank you, David. Wow, I felt all of the love and the light that you provided. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jill Goldwarn, come on up here while I ask another question from the other side of the lot here. How do you see all purpose in everything? Um, Look, you give meaning to everything you see. I want everyone to let that settle. You give meaning to everything that you see. It's more than just seeing it as the glass half full. It's seeing the purpose in everything. If I see a light, what is the purpose of that light? If I see a table, a door, when you start looking at the purpose, you're seeking the light, the love, and the lessons. You're seeking the energy of what it is, and you're utilizing your higher power of thinking to give it the meaning that you want. And look, what is your purpose? Your purpose is your purposeful thoughts. So if you start thinking about purpose in everything, you're going to have more purposeful thoughts, which is going to give you more purpose, which is going to allow you to be inspired more in spirit, allowing you to receive more through the greatest source of power, light, and lessons to give it all away. So it may seem minimal in its question of how to see all purpose in everything, but when you're seeking purpose and having purposeful thoughts, which is your purpose, and that purpose becomes something that inspires you, this is how we spend minutes and moments outside of purpose. This is how we spend minutes and moments in the ego-based consciousness with fear, anxiety, separation, inferiority, superiority, resentment, or all these other things that just get in our way. Get out of your own way by realizing the purpose of your life is to have purposeful thoughts. So if you give meaning to everything you see, make sure that you're seeking the purpose in everything by giving it the thoughts of purpose. No matter how minimal it seems to be, I make an actual practice of looking at things with purposeful thoughts to continue to accelerate and grow my purposeful journey in order to be more inspired, to clear the interferences, voids, and shortages between what exists and what I want, which already exists. All right, Jill, I know that one was a little bit woo-woo on its nature. So if you want any exercises, guides, books on this stuff, email me, everyone. That one probably needs some help. So david@dmeltzer.com. It's all free. I'll pay for shipping. I'll sign this stuff. I don't care. I just want you to have it. I know that one was a higher frequency of vibration, but I do have some really good explanation that's deeper than that. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com. All right. We have Jill on board here. Jill, you here?
Oh, yep, I'm here. Thanks. What a fabulous lead-in to my question about having purposeful thought. That was really powerful. So thank you for that, David. So I have a more how-to directional question about my mommy issue.
Cool.
Being a mommy, I have a daughter who's in a very prestigious university on the East Coast, and she's in her third year. And she decided this semester that it was all too much for her, this online going into her senior year, and she needed a semester off, which I totally supported. And she's here. So now we're into like month 1, and to have purposeful thoughts is to help her kind of guide her for what this period of time looks like and how to maximize this period of time in her life. And instead, she's sleeping for the month. And I know it's probably an emotional kind of brain timeout because she's never, ever had one. But I'm trying to figure out how I can be of service to her to maximize this 4 months and find her own purpose. And I'm having a little struggle doing that, getting out of my head and being just a space of love and light.
I love it. Yeah, this is so good because I have 3 teenage daughters of my own, all with varying issues. Having a father who lives by the minute in a lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. And I have to remind myself every day that my children come through me, not for me, and that my children won't listen to me. My children won't listen to me. And that's okay. I know that sounds funny to people, but I don't expect my children to listen to me, but they watch me. And I invite them to participate in the things that I do. I invite my 10-year-old son to wake up at 4 a.m. and meditate and to work out with me. I invite, my daughters to do things with me, but they're watching me. They're watching. They're not listening. They're laughing at me, scoffing at me, making fun of me, understanding the amount of effort that I put into empowering other people. But when I get the birthday cards, when they don't know I'm listening, I know I'm planting seeds. I'm planting seeds for them to grow. And it may not manifest itself in the senior year of college. It may not manifest itself, but someday those lessons, just like the jacket my dad gave me when I was 30, and I shit all over him and told him to F off and how much I hated him and what an awful thing to do to me on my 30th birthday to give me a jacket I couldn't even wear. And how dare he tell me I'm, into money and all these things. Without that jacket, I would be dead probably. Without that jacket, he planted a seed in my closet that would change my life. And so I want you to stop thinking about this timeless, understanding and motivation that you're supposed to give your daughter. No, let her watch you. Keep planting the seeds, inviting her into activities that you feel would be beneficial, whatever those may be. But just always remind yourself, she's not there for you. She's there through you. And she's watching you. And she's watching you. And that's your responsibility as a parent. And she will benefit. You may not be able to sit under the tree of all the seeds that you plant, just like my father isn't here to see the trees that are growing in my life that other people will sit under, but you are planting those seeds. So continue to invite, to educate, but don't tell people what to do. Don't put judgments or conditions. Just allow her.
No, I'm not.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So
that reminds me of the Shel Silverstein book, The Giving Tree.
Yeah.
Your explanation. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for joining me as always. All right, we will bring up my final guest as I read a question from online as well. Gigi, With 4 minutes left here, let me answer a quick question and then I'll hit you. I'm going to read this one. I feel like I'm caught between a demanding boss and my parents who want me to succeed. What to do? You need to listen and learn from your demanding boss. First of all, if you have a demanding boss, be grateful for it. If you have parents who care and want you to succeed, be grateful for it. Don't allow it to create resistance and anxiety. Don't allow it to put pressure on you. Feel how grateful you are that you must have some serious potential for all these people to care so much about you and want so much from you. I always joke around with someone like, why are you micromanaging me? Because I love you. Because I think you have an extraordinary amount of talent and potential, and I want to see it grow. And if I were you, I would give a shit if I wasn't paying attention to you. I'd be very worried, especially if I was your boss or your parent and I was just letting you be. I'm doing this because of the extraordinary light and potential that you have, and I don't want you to have to pay the dummy tax. And so go ahead, allow the demanding boss and your parents to want you to succeed, utilize the information and help that they're willing to give you, but vote for what you want along the way, taking into consideration what they want for you as well. But vote for what you want in the end. All right, I have Gigi up here. Last question, my dear. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. So my question is, what are the first practical people can start doing by now? Because as we discussed before, there is a lot of guilt we feel when we are working through this. And I know you helped me forgiving myself and give me some tools. So I wonder for everybody, is like, because everything starts with you when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So what is the first step that people can take from this training to start transforming that guilt energy into love and kindness?
Well, for me, it's always the what. I think too many people rely on the why. And so for me, it's knowing your what. If you can take inventory every day of your what do you want it to have personally? What is it experientially during the day? What is it giving wise that I want to provide value and productivity? And what is it receiving wise? It's the what that really determines the who, the how, the now, and the why. And so the first step always is to daily take inventory of your what, personal, experiential, giving and receiving, and not being afraid to be a hypocrite, that you don't know what you don't know, that we're constantly learning, growing, expanding. So know your what is where we should start. And you'll be amazed when you start taking inventory, you will not have drastic changes in your life. You'll have a consistent growth and angling to what you want. It will increase your faith to allow you to get somewhere better, more rapidly and accurately. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, thank you.
You're awesome. All right, everyone. We are on all different platforms. Remember, you can download the playbook and get all the replays you want. Spotify, Entrepreneur, YouTube, all the different platforms, iTunes. The playbook is there. Like it, share it, whatever you need. Next week's training is on networking, social networking, especially Clubhouse. Learn how to network online, remotely. Don't forget to catch 2-Minute Drill. It's on tonight, Amazon and Bloomberg TV. 2-Minute Drill is there. If you need anything, books, guides, exercise, training, they're all free. Just reach out directly to me. Some of these issues, we can go deeper and have some great exercises, guides, and books. I'll sign them, send them to you, pay for shipping. David@dmeltzer.com. My text community is 949-298-2905. All those details are in the chat. Make sure you reach out to me. But most importantly, everyone, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Have a great night.
This January comes the next hit business show, 2-Minute Drill. 4 companies will have 2 minutes to pitch their business, competing for $50,000 in cash and prizes.